My name is Miss Amy, and today we're going to do an art project based on cracks that we find in the sidewalk. The first step is going to be to find a piece of paper to use. I like using paper bags because the paper is strong and it's bigger than a piece of notebook paper, and I like using recycled materials in my house. So the first thing I'm going to do is cut the paper bag, get it to a size that I like, and for today I'm going to use a paper that's this size. So now we're going to go outside and we're going to see if we can find some cracks in the sidewalk to use for our art project. So right now we're in front of my house, in front of my driveway, but the thing I want you to think about is make sure that you're safe. Like, I'm checking to make sure that there's nobody in any cars here and nobody coming over here. So it's best to do this with a parent, just because I want to make sure that you're safe. Then you're going to look down at your cracked sidewalk and see what images pop out to you, for you. So when I look here, it kind of reminds me of the big tail of a whale. And here it looks like a spout of water coming out from the whale. But when I look here, I see a giant fish. And if I look back here, this looks like the beak of a hummingbird that's trying to get nectar from a flower. So see what image really pops out for you. And then I'd like you to draw that image on your paper. And when you draw, really try to observe what you see in the cracks. Like here, I see the shape of a triangle, and I'll draw that first. And then I'm going to come down. I'm doing a contour drawing. I see what looks like the mouth, and then I see another triangle, and here I see a triangle divided into 3 pieces. So I'm really trying to draw what I observe. Now, after I finish the drawing, I'm going to go inside the house and I'm going to trace the lines with Sharpie. If it's too hot for you to work outside, you can always use a camera. If you could borrow someone's camera and take a picture of it and then trace it from inside your house. So now we're going to go back and we're going to trace the lines with Sharpie. So I was really lucky to find a big fat Sharpie, but any kind of marker will work for this. And if you don't have a marker, you can use a crayon. I just like the way the lines really pop out with the black Sharpie. So now what I'm doing is I'm tracing all of the lines that I found outside in the sidewalk. And I'm going to go over it with the Sharpie before I add the colors and the textures to my artwork. So here you can see I'm tracing all of the lines that I found outside. So right now I'm in the backyard and I'm looking for some textures for my fish. And when I draw and color in the fish, I like there to be a contrast between the fish and the background. So for the fish, I'm going to use colors like, cool colors like purple, blue, and green. And for the background, I'm going to use warm colors like yellow and orange and red. So I'm going to start with the fish. If you have oil pastels, they're great to use. If you don't, you can peel the paper off of a crayon and use a crayon. But here is the first texture that I found. I'm going to put my paper down on my chair, and without the paper on my oil pastel, I'm going to rub. And you can see that I'm getting texture on my fish. And what I really love about it is that it looks like the scales of a fish. So you can look all over your yard for really cool textures. Another thing that I like to do is sometimes I like to put one color on top of another color. So I'm going to go around my yard and see if I can find another cool texture that I could add on top of the blue scales. So this is a planter that we have in our yard. I'm going to put my paper on the planter, and I'm actually going to go over this texture with another texture, and I'll see how that looks. So when you do this, guys, enjoy yourself, because the thing about it is these fish do not have to look realistic. They could be abstract. So enjoy yourself when you're adding textures to your animal or to whatever other object that you're making. So this is the beginning of my fish with the blue and the green on top of each other, creating a texture on the fish's body. I'll also be doing my background, but I'll be using warm colors for the background. So this is how my fish came out. I made a green plant under the fish, and I turned these lines into a rock, and I added some details for the eye. And if you can see, if you can notice, I have a lot of warm colors in the background, and my fish has a lot of cooler colors, mostly blues. And you can see that I added a lot of different textures throughout my artwork. I had such a good time doing this that I went back and I tried another one in the same spot, and I found a little sheep with some mountains and hills in the background. So I think you're going to have a really good time working on this project and finding new things in your own environment and in your own home. It's really an important time, since we're home, to try to see things in a new way and to notice everything that's around us. Thanks for participating in this video.